Ah, you kids have it so easy now. Back in my days, we didn't have those fancy emblem rings to help us clear our Fire Emblem chapters. We were forced to use terrible units with awful growth rates and subpar equipment. Today you can just equip an Engage ring, activate some busted skill, and watch your enemies fall before you. But what if you couldn't? How would Fire Emblem Engage play without its main mechanic, the Emblem Rings? Most likely, it would be an awful experience which would kill my will to live and destroy my enjoyment of Fire Emblem as a whole, so that means it's a perfect challenge for this channel. Now, I will admit, even as the cynical, jaded Fire Emblem elitist that I am, I really enjoyed seeing my favorite lords from the older Fire Emblem game make a return in a modern installment, and finding new ways to break the game with these rings gave me a lot of satisfaction. But I do find it a little sad that the main cast of Engage are seemingly unable to stand on their own feet and require the help of these old legendary characters to win their battles. And I personally would have liked to see how they'd fare if they had to rely on their own skills and abilities to win the day. And that is why I am going to be doing a playthrough of Fire Emblem Engage on Maddening difficulty without utilizing Emblem Rings or Bracelets. The rules for this playthrough are as follows. I cannot willingly equip an Emblem Ring or Bracelet, and in the rare events in which the game forces a ring onto one of my characters, I am not allowed to activate its Engage mechanic, though I can still use the character in battle. Anything else beyond the Emblem Rings and Bracelets is fair game. I am allowed to spend bond fragments in the Somniel to level up the emblems themselves and inherit their skills, as this doesn't require me to actually equip their rings. As long as I have the required bond level and skill points, this is completely okay. Though it will take a while, because this means I have to rely on the incredibly slow bond rings, which allows a character to earn skill points at half the speed. And that's going to be a slow, arduous process. The bond rings are usually pretty bad, as they're both expensive to obtain, RNG-based, and only offer limited stat bonuses, but they're better than nothing, and some of the higher ranking ones can actually be somewhat decent, offering situationally useful skills and abilities. So I'll definitely try to get my hands on those if I'm lucky enough. I am also allowed to engrave my weapons, as this too doesn't require me to actually equip a ring. And anything else that would be considered cheesy or kinky is also fair game. I just want to see if this challenge is doable. So the big question is, do you guys think I can do it? Do you think I can beat Fire Emblem Engage on Maddening Classic difficulty without equipping any Emblem Rings or Bracelets? Let's find out. For this run, I create a male avatar and name him Elyos because I'd rather not say Pepsi Man hundreds of times during this playthrough. I do miss being able to give my avatar a boon and a bane to influence stats and growth rates like you could in Fates. It made the unit feel a lot more like your own, which I thought was the whole point with an avatar. As mentioned before, I am playing Maddening Classic, which means enemies are stronger and they have smarter AIs, and I get much less experience from my playable units. I also have to play with fixed growths, since I'm not allowed to select random growths until I beat the game first on Maddening. But this is fine for a run like this, where consistency is better than the occasional randomness. I also select online features, because God knows I'll need all the help I can get. I don't plan on paying Nintendo any money though, I'll just cancel before my free trial runs out. And with that, it is time to embark on this absolutely bonkers challenge. After a scripted tutorial, which I'll skip over, it's time to begin with Chapter 1, which is also sorta like a tutorial. Here we get to control Elyos and Vander, as two useless green units are running away from us like idiots rather than coming towards us, where we would actually be able to protect them from the enemy. Green units gonna green, I guess. As with my other Fire Emblem playthroughs, I'm gonna begin by taking a look at my playable characters in detail, starting with the main character, Elyos. He's the avatar of this game and is no doubt going to be one of the more important units for the run. Being the avatar, Elyos has some of the best growths in the game. His speed and defense growths in particular are insane. He also has one of the best personal skills in the game in Divinely Inspiring, basically a renamed version of Camilla's personal skill from Fates, boosting the damage of adjacent allies by 3 and reducing the damage they take by 1. And this bonus damage is pure damage, by the way, meaning it will always go true, even against enemies which would otherwise take 0 damage. This means that Elyos is a unit you want to have in the center of your army at all times, so as many units as possible can benefit from this bonus damage. And considering I won't be able to use any Emblem Rings for this playthrough, I have to take advantage of any bonuses I can get my hands on. Our second unit is Vander the Paladin, and while I am overjoyed to see a traditional Jagan-type unit returning to a modern Fire Emblem game, I am not overly pleased with this guy's performance. Vander has alright growth for a pre-promote, actually, but his bases leave a lot to be desired. He will be an absolute godsend for the first handful of chapters on Maddening, where he'll be needed to tank enemies and deal crucial damage, but he sadly falls off incredibly quickly, as enemies will just outpace him. Being a paladin, he will barely get any experience from combat, so it's pretty rare to even see him level up once in the early game. And at some point, every enemy on the map will just start doubling him, and it just doesn't take very long before there's little point in fielding him anymore. Vander also has a very subpar personal skill in Alabaster Duty, which grants himself and Elyos 5% extra crit whenever they are adjacent to one another. The benefits of this skill are so small that I think most players, myself included, will just kind of forget about it. Sure, I'll take it when I can get it, but I won't go out of my way to keep it active. Vander is a unit that I sadly don't think will do a lot in this playthrough past the first few chapters. I will use him as a crutch for as long as I can, and then let the old man retire to the bench. The first chapter is honestly very easy, and doesn't feel that much different on Maddening mode compared to Hard. You don't need to worry about Fram and Clan, as they'll be just fine. They are running away from you, but I don't think they can actually die in this tutorial. I just put Vander next to Elyos for the 5% crit boost, and then I let my avatar do all the fighting, as I don't want the experience police showing up at my house. It's a bit RNG dependent whether or not you have to pop a vulnerary, but if you're like me and you just feel the stats, you'll get by just fine. However, when more reinforcements show up, there is a forced cutscene where Elyos gets engaged to Marth, much to Sheeta's dismay, and runs away. I can't stop him from doing this, nor can I unequip the ring, so I just have to not actively press engage and let Elyos mop up the rest of the enemies. He gets his first level up here, which I assume is the same for everyone since growths are unfixed. And then, after defeating a few more corrupted, I cleared the first map. This was pretty easy, but it's gonna get progressively harder with each one. Join us next time as we take on Chapter 2 and the Crazy Mommy. If you enjoyed this part, leave a like and a comment and absolutely give me some advice, as I'll need to break out every trick in the book to overcome this insane challenge. Really, seriously guys, any kind of overpowered builds you know about or any way to cheese the game is appreciated, as long as it doesn't involve actually equipping an emblem ring. Anyway, my name is Mangs, thank you for watching my TED Talk, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!